Hello everyone, this is Daughter Darkness, and today I'm going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about Dream Drop Distance HD, and I'm going to go through 5 changes that I think would be nice to see in Dream Drop Distance HD. This one is kind of overlooked, I suppose, by most people who are kind of in awe of the new content in 2.8, but this is pretty much the bulk of the content in 2.8. And it would be nice if they did a little bit more than simply remastering the game. Of course, they've got to do a few changes to make up for the fact that it's only on one screen now, but it would be nice to do a few more things in terms of tweaking the game just to make it a little bit of a better experience. So let's just get started. The first one centers around the infamous balloon spell, or not just that, but the balancing issues generally in Dream Drop Distance. Dream Drop Distance, despite the fact that I love it and everything, it does have a few issues in terms of the balancing of the game, in the fact that balloon and flow motion attacks are pretty much the most useful attacks in any given situation. So it would be nice if they did a little bit of work to maybe make those just a little bit less powerful, to maybe have other spells which are better in different situations. So fire works well against some enemies, thunder against others, or whatever. It's a bit difficult to do with the command deck because I feel like that lends itself to being unbalanced, because one thing's always got to be the most powerful command. But yeah, it would be nice if they did a little bit of extra work on that to make sure that it's a little bit more situational and balloon is not just the best option all the time. And that kind of moves on to the next point, which is the boss design and the enemy design more generally. With the way that it is, the enemies are kind of unstoppable forces that are only really defeatable by using powerful commands. Like, even the small Dream Eaters can cause a lot of trouble, and once you get to the world that never was, where you've got all these huge things attacking you, like, Balloon is pretty much your one saviour. So it would be nice if they were to accompany that with making the enemies have a few more weaknesses, because really the only weakness is that you can sort of overwhelm them with powerful commands, which is, you know, the command deck as a system, that's pretty much how it's going to be. But if they try to find a way to make the enemies have more weaknesses that you can exploit, then that would be a nice way to make up for the fact that you no longer have these overpowered commands to defeat them, as well as the fact that the bosses, some of them could do with a bit of a rework, like Wargoyle and Spelican. They aren't the best bosses. I don't think they're going to actually change those, but it would be nice if they did. I mean, like, they kept the bad bosses in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, so there's no reason they'd change it here. Alright, so the third point is one which seems to already be fixed, and that is the camera. The camera in Dream Drop Distance, it's partly due to the fact it's on a tiny screen, and partly due to the fact that it's really zoomed in, but it really does make life difficult. When you're fighting against big enemies, which you do for a lot of at least the start of the game, towards the end the enemies get smaller, but at the start of the game pretty much every one of the enemies is big. And the fact that they're big and you're often fighting them in small areas on a small screen with a zoomed in camera, it really does make it difficult. I'm thinking of that boss rush in the Traverse Town 3rd District, where you've got to fight like Wargoyle and Hocker Monkey and stuff in Traverse Town, and it's really kind of hard to maneuver around. It seems like they've sort of dealt with the camera, moved it sort of back to kind of Kingdom Hearts 2 levels, which is fine, based on the first 2.8 trailer we got at TGS. Hopefully, whenever we actually see like live gameplay of it sometime next year, I'm imagining, it would be nice if we got to see that camera in action, see if it works a little bit better. But yeah, that's number 3, the camera. And the fourth one is the drop system. The drop system, I think, was a very good idea. I know some people like really don't like it, but I do. I think it was pretty much the best way to move the story along. They wanted Dream Drop Distance to be about Sora and Riku. They didn't want it to just be about Sora. They didn't want it to just be about Riku. And it had never really worked perfectly before. Like Birth by Sleep, I think it really messed up the flow of the game, the way that they did their stories, and Dream Drop Distance did it a lot better. However, there is one big issue, and that is the fact that if you drop during a boss fight, then you go back to play as the other character, and then once you come back, you have to go back to the start of the boss. And I think the best way to sort this out would just be, you can't drop during forced fights. If it's any fight where death would give you the retry option, don't drop there. It's a really simple change, but it would make things so much nicer. The fact that you know that if you've got 20 seconds left on your drop counter, you're not gonna drop to Riku when you reach that. You've still got that attempt at the boss before you end up dropping, and then you'd go on through the cutscenes and everything and then drop after that. That's fine. That's all they need to do. The drop system itself isn't a problem, but that particular issue is, and it would be very nice if they sorted it out in 2.8. And now the final one. This is one which I think is very, very unlikely, but it would be a nice thing to see a bit of progress from the fact that, the last sort of new game that this team made was Dream Drop Distance on the 3DS, and then they moved on to next-gen consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One. They moved on to those consoles, and it would be nice to see the progression, a little bit of it at least, in Dream Drop Distance HD. What am I talking about? Well, the world design. I think the worlds in Dream Drop Distance were a very good attempt, given the hardware they were on, but they did often seem a little bit kind of barren, bare, boring in a way in their design. So maybe they could use the power of the PS4. I'm saying this is very unlikely, but it would be a nice thing to see, just to give the worlds a bit more feel, add a few more things in. A few more trees, a few more buildings, a few sort of environment effects, things like that you can do on the PS4. Just make the game a little bit more kind of a richer experience rather than the kind of empty world. I think it was a good attempt for the 3DS. It was almost like a shell, though, that they had a good shell, and then in Kingdom Hearts 3 they'll fill that up, and it would be nice to see it filled up a little bit in Dream Drop Distance. Just make the worlds feel more like worlds and less like landscapes, if that makes any sense. So yeah, those are just 5 things that I think would be nice to see change in Dream Drop Distance HD. As I said earlier on, I do like Dream Drop Distance anyway. I'd be perfectly happy if it was virtually exactly the same game on the PS4. I'd be happy with that, but this is an opportunity for them to make amends to some of the things which they couldn't do during development, because Dream Drop Distance was made so quickly. I'm sure there are things that the developers wish they'd had time to do, so maybe they can do them, and these are 5 ideas that I have for things they could do. What do you guys think? Are there any things that you'd like to see changed in Dream Drop Distance HD? Please tell me in the comments section below the video. And while you're down there, please like this video if you did, and if you liked it, then check out my other videos and subscribe to this channel. And as always, thank you for watching.